As she is about to lose her house, she comes across an interesting job posting. The parents of a 19-year-old introvert are searching for someone to help him come out of his shell before he heads off to college. She has one summer to turn him into a man, or she will perish trying. The tow truck driver, Gary, shows up at the house of Maddie Barker to take her car. Having had a relationship with Gary before she ghosted him, Maddie comes out and tries to win him over. Her attempts are ruined by another guy she hung around with the night before comes out in his underwear and gropes her. Maddie objects, saying that she works as an Uber driver, but Gary takes the car away. Maddie rollerblading to catch up with Gary, she comes to stop when he tries to pay for breakfast at a nearby diner. She tries to lower the car and drive away, but the automobile is still tied to the truck, so she awkwardly tries to pull out until Gary raises the car back up. Because of her acts, Maddie is ultimately placed under arrest, placed on probation, and informed that she owes a significant amount in back taxes and could perhaps lose her home. In addition, Maddie works as a bartender at a waterfront establishment in her hometown of Montauk, New York. When a customer tries to purchase a drink before the bar opens, Maddie gets into a fight with them, and her supervisor notices that she's got attitude. She works with her best friend, Sarah, and hangs out with her and her husband, Jim. During their break, Sarah shows Maddie an advertisement for a position in which a wealthy family is looking for someone to date their son before he leaves for college and is offering a Buick Regal as payment. Although Maddie is aware that a date entails sexual activity, she chooses to go as she has no other choice and because she wants to take advantage of the wealthy since they are taking her home. The following day, Maddie rides a rollerblade along a road to the Becker family's house, where she meets Laird and Allison, the parents. They talk about their adolescent son Percy, who will be attending Princeton in the fall but who is quite awkward and reserved and doesn't have many friends. He also spends most of his time playing video games in his room. They had hoped for someone more in line with Percy's age, 19 versus 32, but Maddie persuades them that she is the ideal candidate for the position. But Laird and Allison assure Maddie that Percy isn't supposed to be aware of their arrangement. Laird and Allison instruct Maddie to locate Percy employed at a dog shelter. She dresses in a skimpy outfit to try to woo him, and acts as though she wants to adopt a puppy. Percy takes her to see Milo, a former police dog who was kicked out of the force due to a cocaine addiction. Percy starts to get anxious as Maddie comes on too strong and tries to leave too soon. However, after borrowing Jim's van, Maddie offers him a ride home. As she brings Percy to her residence, he pulls out a container of mace and sprays her in the face. After Maddie painfully admits that all she thought about him was his attractiveness, Percy says he just wants to go on a genuine date, to which Maddie agrees. Afterwards, Maddie returns the van to Jim and Sarah and informs them that Percy is unfuckable. Maddie takes Percy to a pub that evening, where she knows the waiter, and she gets him a Long Island iced tea, which he detests. Someone by the name of Travis appears. While flashing his wedding ring, he reportedly dated Maddie once. He tells that her leaving him was the finest thing that has ever happened to him, and warns Percy not to get connected to Maddie. Following that, Maddie and Percy go skinny dipping on the beach. Even though he is hesitant, Maddie persuades him to accompany her. A few minutes later, 3 inebriated teenagers show up and take their garments, which contain their phones, wallets, and keys. Maddie comes out of the water entirely nude and fights the 3 teenagers, 2 boys and a girl, until they give up and return her belongings. When Maddie returns to the water, Percy's shaken by her aggressive exchange with the teenagers, and informs her if there's a problem with her. After exiting the lake, Maddie gets dresses, heads to her car, and drives off, but Percy, still in his underwear, demands his phone back. When Maddie won't give it back, he jumps atop her car's hood and she drives with him hanging on, stark nude. When the police notice them and start to pursue, Maddie drives fast and avoids getting hit by a train in time to avoid being caught, which lets her escape the police attention. In an effort to seduce Percy once more, Maddie invites him back to her home. She tries to perform a sensual dance for him, and he tries to follow suit until she notices a rash on his back that he claims is caused by anxiousness. He begins to talk about his past while Maddie massages his back. He tells her that he doesn't want to go out because his classmates made fun of him for sleeping in his parents' bedroom and spreading rumors that he was having sex with them. Additionally, Maddie tells Percy about an uncomfortable memory. When Percy offers her to go on a genuine date and spending the day together, to which Maddie agrees. After winning prizes at the arcade, and because Maddie was acting strangely with another child, they are ejected. When they pass the lighthouse, Percy asks Maddie to kiss her, and she agrees, despite his awkwardness. She also tells him that she has never left Montauk and has lived in the same home as her mother since her father gave them both a place to live and some money so they wouldn't disturb him and his new family. They next go see an adult guy who used to be Percy's nanny, named Jody. He has a suspicion that something is wrong with her, although Maddie merely responds by calling him strange for being a male nanny to a young kid. The following day, Doug Kahn, a former classmate who is now a realtor and wants to sell Maddie's house for top dollar, comes up at her house. Maddie refuses him because she still intends to keep and save the house. Later on, because none of them attended prom, Maddie and Percy go out to dinner at a classy restaurant as part of a small prom date. He says he can play the piano, and she urges him to do so. He gets praise and cheers from the entire restaurant when he performs Maneater on the piano. Maddie feels just as impressed. Then, Natalie, a student from Percy's school, approaches him to thank him and announce that she will be attending Princeton in the autumn. Maddie tries to talk Percy out of attending the party Natalie invites other Princeton-bound students to because she thinks he might wind up sleeping with Natalie or another female. Maddie objects, but Percy insists he wants to leave. After taking a limo to the celebration, Maddie wanders throughout the party in search of Percy, having to pass by pretentious teens who believe she is too old to be there. Eventually, Maddie discovers Percy in Natalie's bed, but he is ill after drinking and taking an ibuprofen. She proceeds to induce vomiting in him, but is interrupted when the parents of the child organizing the party enter and tell Maddie she must leave. In an attempt to protect her, Percy unintentionally punches Maddie in the throat. Following their departure, Percy declares he is prepared to have sex with Maddie in the limousine. However, after telling her he loves her, she understands he is too inebriated and declines to have the sexual encounter. Laird and Allison notice that Percy seems further cheerful and extroverted, which he attributes to his new girlfriend. But because he wants to be near to Maddie, Percy informs them he is not going to Princeton anymore. When Allison calls Maddie, she starts to doubt her decision to take the position. In an attempt to prevent Percy from abandoning Princeton, Laird informs her that she can keep the automobile without going further in their relationship. Sadly, Percy is in his parents' car when he switches on the speakers, overhearing their talk. He is devastated to learn that Maddie mentioned wanting to drive instead of spend the night with Percy. After that, Percy starts drinking their wine, invites Maddie to meet his parents over for lunch, and begins to act passive-aggressively, before going out with his co-worker Crispin to bring the Buick out into the woods to play with it. By throwing a rock onto the gas pedal, cause it to crash into a tree, which then falls on top of the car. After he gets back to the house, Maddie and Percy decide to have sex and move on, but before he can even get inside her, he ejaculates on her thigh. He claims to be well informed about everything and expresses his desire to stop seeing Maddie, predicting that she will spend the rest of her life in Montauk. Gary subsequently brings Maddie the battered Buick since her name appears on the paperwork. She is compelled to carry out her Uber responsibilities in her damaged vehicle, and Percy returns to his room to play video games. Moreover, he refuses to answer any of Maddie's calls or texts. When Maddie eventually saves up enough cash to pay off her taxes and fix her car, she celebrates with Jim and Sarah. However, they inform her that they are relocating to Florida in order to raise their unborn child, Sarah is expecting. When Maddie learns she will be alone, she becomes upset. Later, after speaking with Doug, Maddie chooses to accept his offer to sell her home. She sells it to Jim and Sarah so they may stay and raise their child there, and she makes preparations to move to California. Maddie goes in search of Percy after learning that he is at a Princeton mixer. She attempts to explain herself, but he still won't talk to her. Like he did to her, she jumps on the hood of his car, and he takes off while she hangs on. Ultimately, they pass by a beach. Maddie is set ablaze by a barbecue grill before Percy crashes into the ocean. He freaks out and searches for Maddie, before they both sob and apologize to one another. Following their reconciliation, Maddie announces she is relocating to California, which makes Percy happy. He informs her, it still counts because he lost his virginity to her, despite the contrary. The morning before his scheduled departure for Princeton, Percy packs his belongings and bids adieu to Laird and Allison. Maddie arrives to take him there before leaving for California. She surprises him by revealing that Milo is her adoptive dog. And they drive away to their destination. For more videos similar to this, don't forget to subscribe and enable notifications. Thank you for watching.